Welcome, everyone. I'm excited to bring you a powerful message today. For those that are listening, if you're anything like me, you want to operate at a different level. You want to know the secret sauce behind operating with the top 2%. So I'm bringing you a guest today that will help you start to think about where are you currently and where do you want to go. So in order to operate at the different level, maybe sometimes you're feeling like my guest has talks about you move fast, but your strategy feels scattered. You're grinding, but progress isn't compounding. You've got ambition, but no system that's locking it in. You're going to hear from my guest today. You don't need more motivation. You need precision. You need structure. You need what he calls weaponized discipline. I like that term, Dre. That's what he's going to bring us in this conversation today. Dre is a gentleman that's written 41 books. He's had 4 TEDx talks. He's also had 3,000 plus podcasts. He's been a 9-year pro in basketball. So something that him and I share is the love of hoops. So Dre, welcome to the conversation.
I'm excited to be here, Nathan. Thank you for having me on.
So tell us a little bit about you. Where'd you grow up?
I come from the city of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, now based in South Florida. And you want to know more?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Always into sports. Came into basketball around age 14. Was actually pretty late to go anywhere in ball, like playing in college or the pros. Played 1 year in high school, sat on the bench that 1 year, walked on to play college ball at the Division III level, which is the third tier of sports, which most D3 athletes are not even dreaming about making it pro, even though we all say we think we will. But most of us don't actually make it. I was able to make it, started playing pro ball in 2005, played nearly 10 years internationally, traveling 8 different countries. At the same time that I was starting to play in '05, I started putting videos on this brand new website called youtube.com. And that's where I started to build a brand, started to build a name for myself online, mostly with basketball players. About 5 years into that, around 2009, 2010, those players started asking me questions about the mindset side of the game because even though they were developing the skill through my teaching, they weren't able to apply it because they realized something was missing up above the neck. So I started talking about things like discipline, confidence, mental toughness, taking initiative, goal setting, etc. And the players appreciated it. And at the same time, people who didn't play ball started finding me online and saying, hey, this stuff applies to me, even though I don't play ball. So that kind of became the segue, Nathan, between the athletes and the non-athletes, the entrepreneurs, the business professionals. So when I stopped playing in 2015, my transition from sports to business was a little bit smoother than the average athletes for 2 reasons. Number one, I had this content online and already had an audience who was listening to me, buying my little programs, getting a couple of my books and courses and things like that. And number two, because I came from a Division III school, there was no guarantee that ever would have been a professional athlete career. So I kind of had to think about what's coming next, even from the very start. Even when I was employed, there was no guarantee I was going to be employed the next season. So I was always thinking about it. So for the last 10 years, I've been full-time in entrepreneurship. And these days, focusing on working with high performers, professionals, entrepreneurs on leveraging that top 2% discipline.
All right, so you've worked with a lot of different people. You've worked with a lot of athletes. You've worked with organizations like Wendy's. You've worked with organizations like Nike and Buick, right? And a lot of top performers. And you talk about this top 2%.
Yeah.
So, what are some key attributes or elements that you have noticed in your work about this top 2%?
Easiest one off the top is showing up every day and doing your job, which everybody knows they need to do. And technically, as a professional, you are supposed to do. That's the unspoken or the written contract that you have, that you take the money, you got to show up and do your job. But a lot of people who are professional in name are not actually showing up as professionals in spirit every single day and doing the job. They may show up, I mean, they're physical, you can see them, but are they really showing up all the way and doing the job the way they're supposed to? And in my experience, both on the court and off the court, Nathan, most people don't show up. And showing up is about 80% of the job. Showing up all the way and doing what you're supposed to do, even when you don't feel like it, even when it's not quite working, even when you're not getting the results. Can you just continually show up? And the mental challenge of doing that every single day is really the hard part. It's not physical at all. It's a mental, spiritual, emotional challenge, if you even want to go that far. of showing up all the time. So if you had to boil it down to one trait, that's definitely number one.
Okay, so showing up, I agree with you.
Mm-hmm.
Now, some people, as they listen, they say, well, showing up, okay, that's Nathan, Dre, that's not rocket science. But
That's
I
right.
agree with you, Dre. It's a big deal, right? When
Mm-hmm.
I was growing up, my dad used to have this little sign that sat in my bathroom. Rule of success number one, show up.
Mm-hmm.
So I agree with you 100%. So what does show up? Let's pull that apart and go a little deeper. What show up look like as you start working with top performers? What are they doing when they're showing up that's different than everybody else?
Number one is the standard that they have set for themselves, because in life you don't get your expectations or your goals or your desires, you get your standards. So whatever standard you set for yourself, that's the level that you're going to perform at consistently, and you don't accept anything less. So the highest performers out there, and this is what a lot of people don't quite understand, and this applies to any industry, the highest performers in the world are not the people with the highest ceiling, i.e., the goals, the things they want to achieve, their aspirations. So a lot of people think that if they're going to perform at a higher level, they need to raise the ceiling. Okay, instead of saying I want to make $1,000, I say I want to make 10,000. Instead of 10, let me say I want to make 100. And they think raising that number is going to make them better. That's actually backwards. The highest level performers have the highest floors, not the highest ceilings. See, the floor is the standard. The floor is the bare minimum that's acceptable. So the bare minimum that's acceptable is, okay, if I haven't made at least 10 phone calls, I'm not going home. If I haven't closed this much business, I'm not leaving the office. So the standard is about the bare minimum that is acceptable for you. And the reality is, many people, when they don't feel good or things are not working or they have any type of built in convenient excuse, my back hurts, I have a headache, it's cold outside, it's nice outside, they will lower the standard, quote unquote, temporarily until the situation has passed. So when the reality is, there's no such thing as lowering a standard. I mean, there is, but there isn't. If something's a standard, that means nothing below it is acceptable. You absolutely can't do it. It's kind of like you're on a computer and you're trying to push the button to go to the next page, but it won't let you because you haven't filled out the form. You can't go to the next page until the form is filled out. That's what a standard is. And when you set a standard at a certain level that your baseline is better than most people's ceiling, then you're going to continually be better than them. Now, that sounds pretty simple. The challenge is, are you willing to meet that standard on a consistent basis every single day, pushing yourself? Because yes, it feels good maybe the first few times you do it, but eventually you're going to hit that part, that day, that moment, that year that we over here, we call it the third day, when it's not so easy. The new car smell has worn off. The welcome party is over. And you realize that this thing that you said you were going to do is not all fun and games. Now, it's not as easy as it looked in the brochure. And there's some real work, there's some grit, there's some grind that comes to this. What do you do on that day or that week or that year? How do you show up then? That's when we find out.
And so, what are some tactical things people can do? I love how you articulated that. When the new
Mhm.
car smell has worn off, or you get to
Yeah.
your third day, now
Hmm.
what? Because I
Right.
would I would venture to guess as people listen to us today is that they know they can get more out of their potential. They know they have talents, they have treasure, they have time that they're not fully grasping. So, what are a couple of tactical things that they can do to number one, set the standard and then meet the standard?
Well, number one is people really have to get clarity. I find in working with business professionals, especially entrepreneurs, people who get to kind of make their own schedule and set their own goals. I'm sure you see this too, Nathan, is that people often suffer from a lack of clarity. They don't have a lack of talent. It's not a lack of resources, information, knowledge, or experience. They just don't know exactly where they're going. There's no precision in terms of their thinking. And when your thinking is unclear, your actions will be unclear. So, what I mean by that when I say clarity is people have to be willing to look in the mirror with help if necessary and get clear on who are you really and what are you really about. Where do you really want to plant your flag? Because in sports, for example, every player on the team says, I want to be the best player on the team. I want to be the best player in the world. I want to do, but do you really? Is that really what you want? Or is it, hey, I just want to get this scholarship, be on the team and graduate so I can go on and do something else. I just want to be on the team because the girls like us. What is it that you really want? Can you be honest about what you really are doing this for? And a lot of people won't be honest. A lot of people give the made for TV answer. You ask them, what do they want? Well, my thing is, what's your edge? What's your X? The thing that makes you different from everyone else in here with the same skills, same degree, same background, same level of experience. What makes you different from everyone else? And most people will give you the answer that sounds good and is acceptable. And that's okay when you're talking to a room full of people, because maybe you don't want to get that personal. But with yourself, you have to be willing to be honest. What is it that makes me different from him, her, them, and everybody else over here? And you got to be honest about that. And until you can be honest about what that is or what you want it to be, we can't really get too far. We can get to a certain point. If you're talented enough, skilled enough, experienced enough, there's a certain level of quote unquote success you can be at and you can stay there. But if you're really trying to go to a super higher level, you have to figure out standard wise, personal wise, what makes you different from everybody else in the space. And that requires some self-honesty that a lot of people are not even, a lot of people I think are just completely unaware. And even those who are aware, Nathan, they are a little bit afraid of being that honest, even with themselves.
Okay, so you said something that I don't want the listeners to miss.
Mm-hmm.
You had to be clear in your thinking. Because if you're not clear in your thinking, you said, then you won't be clear with your actions. So that would say that you have to take some time to think, to look yourself in the mirror, to rub off the fog, and be honest. But I would contend for myself, I just went by the simple, people told me just work harder than anybody else. Mm-hmm. And by working harder, I did see some great results, but until I could discipline myself to take the time to think, to be vulnerable, to be transparent, I couldn't really guide my actions accordingly. So I don't want the listeners to miss that. What Dre said there, thinking, because your thinking will dictate your actions and your actions dictate your results. So have the discipline to think. So Dre, you talk about working on the game. Talk to me about that, because your vision here is to help individuals win the game. Is that right? Or did I language it? You talk about it.
Well, the ultimate outcome anytime you get into a game is to win. I mean, it's the reason why it's called competition. It's the reason we give out trophies, is to win the game. So any game you get involved in, and we're not just talking sports here, is you have to get clear on what is winning. So in sports, it's very clear because there's a scoreboard. The scoreboard is an objective arbiter, and we know whoever wins at the end gets the trophy. Everybody understands that. Business is a little bit different. It's more murky. The lines are more gray because every business and every industry has different ways that you can win. And unlike in sports, in business, 10 people can win. In sports, only one team can win. So business is a little bit different. That's why business is more collaborative than it is necessarily competitive. There is competition, but you can also collaborate. So it makes it a little bit different. Yet at the same time, in business, everybody needs to know what their win is so that we know why we're doing what we're doing. And this is that mental clarity that we were just talking about. So when it comes to work on your game, to answer your question, that came from a video I made in 2009. I just came back from I've been in Germany, and I was in a 24-hour fitness in Miami, and it was about 4 a.m. I don't know why I was there at 4 a.m, but I was working out as usual, had my cheap little $100 camera with me. This is before we had video cameras on our phones. And I was just recording this video because on my mind were the questions I was getting on YouTube at the time from ball players. And they kept asking, give me some tips, some help, some advice. And I was kind of just venting in the video. And it's still on YouTube to this day. And in the video, I said, here's the reason why many of you can't play, is because you see me, I'm sitting here in the gym. I just finished working out, and you are on YouTube watching me. That's the reason why I can play and you can't play, because you're watching YouTube videos or playing Xbox, or you're standing on the corner instead of practicing. So what you need to do is turn off this video and go work on your game. And that was the first time I said it on video. And people loved that phrase, and they just started repeating it back. And I wasn't saying it to try to brand myself. I was just saying it. But people said it so often that about a year later, I realized, you know what? I can make everything kind of fit under this umbrella because it doesn't limit me to sports. And it kind of encompasses what I'm about anyway. So that's when I started using it more intentionally. And work on your game was based on, when we first started, based on 4 pillars of mindset: discipline, confidence, mental toughness, personal initiative. And those pillars are still the foundation. Now, when working with professionals and businesses, we've added in the strategies, the systems, and the accountability. But that's where working your game started and what it's about.
Okay, give me those 4 pillars again.
The baseline pillars. So
Yeah.
discipline, showing up every day to do the work. Confidence, put yourself out there boldly and authentically. Mental toughness, keep showing up, doing the work, putting yourself out there, even when the success you've expected to achieve has yet to occur. And the personal initiative to go and be a go-getter, make things happen instead of waiting for things to happen.
Okay, so if you look at those 4 pillars, I want to pull one of them apart.
Okay.
Confidence.
Mm-hmm.
I run across a lot of people that I'm like going, wow, what a talent. But they don't even believe in themselves. So talk to me about confidence. Where does confidence come from?
Well, first, let's get clear on what it is. Confidence, by definition, is the belief in your ability to do a thing. So, where does your belief in your ability to do something come from? It comes from the fact that you have actually prepared yourself and done the work ahead of time. One thing that I tell people all the time, Nathan, is that the hallmark of a professional is that they are always prepared. A professional is prepared by what we call doing your homework. People think homework ended when you graduated from school. No, it just started. Now, doing your homework is preparing for a situation before the situation occurs. This is why if there's a broken pipe in your house and you call a plumber on emergency, the plumber knows what the problem is as soon as they can see where the pipe is. They figure it out. They know because they've already done the work. You call a doctor, you go to a doctor because you have a problem with your back. The doctor has done the pre-work to be able to diagnose what your problem is. As soon as he sees it, he hasn't seen you before, but he's seen the problem before. The pre-work has already been done. That's the preparation. What does this have to do with confidence? You're confident in your ability to do something when you know you've done your homework. A professional speaker gets on the stage and is confident giving a speech because they've already practiced that speech. Even though they've given it 300 times, they practiced again before they got on the stage today. A professional athlete prepares for the competition before the game. We call it practice. So discipline, the discipline required to prepare and do your homework, leads to the confidence to go out and perform and produce a result. So a lot of people think confidence comes from something like faking it until you make it, for example, which is an oxymoron. It's not actually a real thing. Confidence actually comes from the discipline of doing the work ahead of time so that when the situation occurs, you already know that you can handle it. And the follow-up question to that, some people ask, especially athletes would ask this, but professionals, other professionals as well, is yes, one thing to prepare making a 3-point shot in an empty gym, is another thing to shoot a 3-point shot with 1,000 people in the gym. What about that? And what I tell people is that you can temporarily borrow the confidence of someone who's already done a performance. So speaking of a 3-point shot, let's say Steph Curry. Most people know who he is. Great 3-point shooter. You're going into a game and you know you can make the 3-pointer in an empty gym, but what about all these people watching? Well, what kind of energy would Steph Curry bring into the game? How would he walk onto the gym? How would he feel knowing that everybody's watching him? He's not nervous. He's not anxious. He doesn't get performance anxiety. He's actually happy. Right? They should be watching me because they know I'm going to make this 3-pointer. So you borrow the confidence of someone who has already done the thing you want to do. Just borrow it temporarily. Combine it with your ability and your skill. Don't try to be them. Combine it with your ability and your skill. Then you go perform. Now you have your own track record. So now you can, hey, thank you, Steph Curry, for letting me borrow your confidence. Now you take it back. Now you can build off of your own track record and off your own performance. And the more you do a thing, of course, the more confident you become in your ability to do it again because you already have a track record and a proven history of results.
Yeah, so I'm glad you bring up Steph Curry. Love watching him. You know, I got a chance to take my daughter out to a game in the Bay Area one time, and I was so impressed with his preparation, his drills he was doing. No wonder he performed so well.
Yeah. People come to the game early just to watch him get ready for the game. That's what I hear. Yeah.
Yeah. So, okay, so I'm going to take a left turn on you. So, how many points if you and I are playing 1-on-1 to 11, ones and twos, make it, take it, how many points do you think I'm going to have to spot you?
You would have to spot me?
Yeah.
0.
You know what I'm doing there, Dre. I just tested your confidence. I knew I was going to get an answer like that. I'm just messing with you. Okay, go through the pillars one more time for me, because I don't want them to miss those, because I think they're brilliant.
Sure. Discipline. Show up every day and do the work. Confidence. Put yourself out there boldly and authentically. Mental toughness. Keep showing up, doing the work, putting yourself out there, even when success is late to the party. And personal initiative. Be a go-getter who makes things happen instead of waiting for things to happen.
Okay, great stuff. Guys, you've heard Dre give you a lot of things to think about. If you're not taking notes, go back, listen to it, take a few notes. And what are one or two of these things that you can take to get better today? Dre, you've written 41 books. How do they find out more about these books?
Well, I wouldn't list all 41. That would take too long. But
Yeah.
I can give people a free copy of one of them. Can I mention one?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I have a book called The Third Day. For those watching on video, where's the book? Oh, it's right here. Third Day, the decision that separates the pros from the amateurs. It's all about the discipline. This is what we've been talking about here. And this leads to the confidence. So this book is all about that day, that moment, that week, that hour when you don't really want to work. You don't feel like working. Nothing you've been doing has been working, but you're supposed to be working anyway. How do you show up then? This is what separates the pros from the amateurs, because an amateur has the luxury of not showing up when they don't feel like it. A professional does not. So how do you show up and deliver in that moment? That's what makes the pros the pros. I'm sure Steph Curry has games. He doesn't feel like doing all that shooting warm up, but he does it anyway. That's the third day. You can get this book for free. Just cover the shipping. Go to thirddaybook.com. Spell it out. Thirddaybook.com. Book's free. Just cover the shipping.
Thirddaybook.com.
Yes.
Awesome. Dre, this has been a pleasure. Appreciate it. We went fast and furious, but I think we gave people a lot of nuggets here. I'd highly recommend go get that book and read it, because I think a lot of what he's teaching, these concepts are not hard, but the discipline, like he said, is his number one foundational thing. The discipline to do them is what we make hard. So show up. You show up today by going and getting this book, and take what you've heard today and implement one or two things to start having a larger impact in your little circle of the world. Dre, thanks so much. Appreciate the time.
Thank you, Nathan, for having me on. Appreciate the opportunity.